everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am the Inconsequential Runner, and it feels like, and I'm really charged to say this, as always, we are joined by Coach Mark. Hello, Coach Mark.
Oh, hi, Darcy. Happy to be here.
It's great to have you. Let's get straight into this question. This one's from me. What I was doing is I went out for an easy run. And during the easy run, I gave myself permission to just run easy. And what I found during the easy run was not only was I keeping my heart rate low, but I was running in really bad form because I let everything go. I made it as easy as possible. I was clomping along. I wasn't standing up tall. I was all hunched over. Anyway, everything you should be doing in a run, I suspect I wasn't doing. And then I thought, well, what's the value of the easy run? But I don't know. So, Mark, the question I've got, Coach Mark, is an easy run permission to just forsake everything? Or is that a foolhardy sort of approach? Are there some things we should always be doing in each run, specifically when we're considering form? What should we be thinking about, Coach Mark?
Well, you're right. An easy run isn't an excuse to neglect your form.
Okay.
In fact, if you run with good form, it's going to actually make your run easier anyway, because you're going to be running more efficiently. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying as well. How on an easy run, a big part of an easy run is to sort of free the mind up a bit, because the previous day perhaps you have quite a tough session that was hard mentally as well as physically. So a value of an easy run is to switch off a little bit and just enjoy nature effectively and tick along. But the good news is you can actually do both. But you should certainly still focus on your form, because if you neglect your form, when you're running easily, then the chances are very, very high that when you're actually fatigued in a situation, you're not going to be able to rely on good form, because you're going to fall back into bad habits. That good form should always be there. And also, if you're running just not thinking about your form, and maybe poor habits are creeping in, you're going to have increased risk of injury as well. So you're not going to be recovering as well from your tough run, and you might be setting yourself up for something. You might be hitting the ground heavier, for example, overstriding.
Definitely.
Little things like that. If you're not focusing on your arms, they might be swaying too much, and that throws your hips out, and little things. Remember, you hit the ground 160 to 180 times a minute. So any little things magnified there. But you don't have to be focusing on your form every second of your run. The way to do it is just tap in occasionally and say, how's my form going? All good. I do a little top to toe thing. I think, is my head tall? Is my jaw relaxed? Are my shoulders down? Are my hands relaxed? Are my hips forward? That type of thing. And then that's pretty much all you need to focus on. Then switch off again. 5-10 minutes later, go back to it. How am I now? Over time, of course, people have been running for years and years and years and years. Their form is honed in. They don't even need to focus on good form because they have good form. So it falls into place whether they're running fast or slow. It doesn't matter.
I love that, and I love that checking in. So maybe I'm a big proponent of just changing one thing at a time. Now, with that said, maybe let's focus on those 3 things that we'll do individually, one at a time. So when someone who's watching this video right now wants to check in, and I love that about checking in, because I suppose I was thinking that you have to think about your form every single step. So I love that you just check in every so often, and am I doing these things? So if you were to give us three things, and I'm sorry, I know I throw these questions to you on the hop, but you've
Yep.
always been able to answer them. If there were just three things, and I know there's more, but if there were three things that a runner should be checking in on their form when they check in on their form,
Yeah.
what are those? What would you say would be the top three things, or the three things that a beginner runner should be, or an intermediate runner should be thinking about?
Yep. Number one, imagine you got a helium balloon attached to your head.
Yep.
That's number one, and that's probably the most important. That just keeps you tall. And in my experience, if someone just focuses on that, most of the other things all fall into place anyway. So that's the most important one.
Okay.
The next one would be making sure that your hands brush the waistband of your shorts, so they're not swinging too low or too high. So that's the other one.
So your hands are brushing the waistband, so they've got to be close.
Yeah, so they're not up here, which causes shoulder strain, or they're not too low, which causes shoulder strain. Okay. If they're just brushing, they're not going to sway. If you focus on your thumb, say, brushing your waistband, then that keeps the shoulders down as well. So that covers that whole arm, really, torso. Yep.
So brushing the waistband does two things.
Yeah.
It keeps your hands at the right height, not too high, not too low, but the right height.
Yep.
And it stops the crossing the center line and okay. So we've got running tall, we've got hands brushing the waistband, and what's the third? This is brilliant, thank you. And what's the third?
Yeah. The third one is also the hands, and that's I want to talk about. Imagine you got chippies in between your between your thumb and your forefinger, so you're not clenching your fists. Yep. Other three things.
Okay, so your fists aren't clenched. If you've got chips there, you're holding them. I suppose the idea is you're holding them lightly. You're not like cracking.
Yeah, you got a wafer thin chippy, just sort of lightly held in there, and that just those two things. So you notice that all three of these things are above the waist. So it's really, if you focus on above the waist, the below the waist takes care of itself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Running tall, hands brushing the waistband, and we want our fists relaxed. So imagine that between the forefinger and the thumb, there's a chip.
Yep.
And for me, it'll be a corn chip. Probably jalapeno flavored. Is that better? No, probably not.
No, that's all right. That's quite all right.
Nice. Okay.
I know someone, for example, they run with their hands pointing downwards. So they run with their hands, down like that. And they said, is it normal to get big sort of sausage fingers at the end of a run? But that's why they were getting that. So again, they're not running with control doing that. Yeah. Just something as simple as that was control. And so it's an easy thing to focus on.
Perfect. I love that. Coach Mark, thank you so much. Thanks for being around to answer the questions. For those watching today, thanks for the patience to get to the end of the video. Just one thing per video. So if you want to hang around for the next thing, and the next one's a big one, let's talk about dealing with COVID and the recovery plan to come out of COVID, because Coach Mark and I know of too many people that tried to run too hard, too fast after COVID, and what happened. So let's talk about that at the next one. Coach Mark, thank you very much.
Very good. Cheers.